The sky was quiet. No alarms, no warnings. Just the soft hum of wind brushing over the towers of Outpost R9. Captain Elias Stone looked out over the horizon, thinking it was just another day at the edge of human territory. He had served on this alien border station for nearly 2 years, and not once had anything interesting happened until now. A flash tore through the sky. Not a shooting star, not a meteor, but something glowing, something alive. The impact shook the ground hard. Dust exploded upward. Sirens blared. Troops scrambled to respond. Elias ran toward the crash zone, unsure what to expect. He thought it would be debris, maybe a rogue ship. What he found instead was something far stranger, a silver pod, smooth and alien in design, sat in a deep crater. It was humming. Then it opened. Out stepped a woman. No, not a woman, a creature of elegance and power. Blue skin shimmered under the lights. Her golden armor looked like it was carved from the stars themselves. Her face was calm, yet cold. Behind her, a dozen guards emerged, tall and silent, their golden eyes watching everything. She didn't speak. She didn't ask for permission. She walked past the human soldiers like they didn't matter. Her guards followed. Elias raised his hand. "Identify yourself." He shouted. She stopped. For a moment, everything was still. Even the dust hung in the air like it was waiting for her answer. "I am Queen Visara of the Shaylin Empire," she said, her voice clear and strong. "This is no longer your outpost. This land belongs to me." Confusion spread. Soldiers looked at each other. Some raised weapons. Elias stepped forward, trying to stay calm. "You can't just claim our station. This is Earth territory," she smiled. "You will find," she said softly, "that your rules mean little here." Before he could react, her guards moved. In seconds, they had taken over the command building. No shots fired. No blood spilled. Just precision. Cold and clean. Elias was dragged before her. "You're making a mistake," he said, struggling against their grip. "You can't start a war." Queen Visara looked down at him, her eyes filled with something unreadable, maybe curiosity, maybe amusement. "I'm not starting a war, human. I'm ending one you never knew had already begun." She ordered his cuffs removed. He stood, shocked, trying to understand her game. "You will not be harmed," she said, "but you will stay with me." "Why?" "Because," she said, stepping closer, "I find you interesting." The guards stiffened. Even they didn't expect their queen to say that. One guard opened his mouth to object, but she raised her hand. Silence followed. Elias stared at her, unsure. If this was diplomacy, madness, or something far worse. That night, she entered the command chamber, his command chamber, without knocking. Her golden armor glowed faintly. She dismissed her guards with a wave of her hand. They hesitated. "I said leave," she repeated. They obeyed. Now it was just the two of them. Elias stood beside the console, watching her carefully. He didn't trust her, but he also couldn't look away. She moved like a flame, graceful and dangerous. "You're trying to break me," he said quietly. "No," she replied. "I'm trying to understand you." She walked closer, her eyes locked with his. "You are unlike the others. You resisted without fear. You spoke without shaking, and yet you show restraint. And that's enough for you to invade?" "I didn't invade, Elias. I chose to walk in." She reached out, not to hurt him, not to grab him, but to brush a bit of dust from his shoulder. Even her touch was careful, calculated. He stepped back. "Don't play with me." Her smile didn't fade. "I don't play. I take what I want, and I never apologize." Outside, the guards still stood in silence, but even they seemed confused. No one had ever seen her act this way before, not even them. In one evening, Elias had gone from soldier to prisoner, to something else. He didn't know what yet, but he could feel it in the air. This wasn't just about war, or territory, Or power. This was personal. And Elias Stone was at the center of something much bigger than himself. And Queen Vizara? She didn't care what anyone thought. Not her enemies. Not her people. Not even her guards. She had done something no queen should ever do. She touched a human. Not in violence, but in curiosity. And no one dared stop her. Even the stars seemed to pause for breath. Asterisk. Elias barely slept that night. The alien queen's touch still lingered in his thoughts, not because it was warm, but because it was dangerous. He had faced death before, fought on the borders, seen comrades fall. But nothing had ever made him feel like this. She wasn't just playing games. Queen Visara was doing something bigger. Something no one understood. By morning, the entire base looked different. Her guards had replaced the human officers. The command center now pulsed with golden blue alien tech. Symbols floated in the air. The walls shimmered like living metal. And yet, there was no war, no violence, just silence and control. Elias sat in the old briefing room, alone. The door opened. She walked in again alone. This time, without armor. Still regal, still glowing, but now wearing a long flowing dress of woven starlight threads. Her hair was loosely tied, her crown replaced with a smaller circlet. Even in this form, she was stunning, almost unreal. You changed everything overnight, Elias said flatly. I improved it, she replied. You replaced my people. They are not dead. They are safe. You should be grateful. He stood, facing her. You took my station, my crew, and now you stand here like it's all normal. Vizara tilted her head. To me, it is. For humans, this is war, and yet, you still breathe. She moved closer again. Elias tensed, but he didn't move. You confuse me, Elias Stone, she said softly. You fight me with your eyes, but your body stays still. Why? Because I'm trying to figure out what you want. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked to the center of the room and looked up at the large screen, once used to display tactical maps. Now it showed a slow orbit of her warships, circling the sky above the planet. I want understanding, she said finally. Your species moves too quickly. You fight before you listen. But you didn't shoot. You talked. Because I follow orders, not because I like you. Her smile returned, faint and amused. And yet you're still here, speaking to me. Again. Outside the window, her alien guards stood perfectly still like statues. Their armor reflected the light. One of them watched Elias through the glass, but didn't blink or speak. I could leave, Elias said. You could, she replied. But you won't. And why do you think that? Because you're curious. Just like me. He hated how right she was. Her confidence wasn't arrogance. It was something else. Something colder. She was testing him. Every second, she walked to a chair and sat down, crossing her legs like she was in her own palace. Come, she said. Sit. Talk with me. I'm not your guest. You're not a prisoner either. He didn't move. She sighed, leaned back and looked directly at him. In my world, she said, touch is sacred. We do not lay hands on others unless we mean it. You are the first human I've ever touched. Why? Because I wanted to feel something real. The guards outside were still staring. Elias didn't care anymore. You walked into my station, took over everything, and now you talk like this is a date. Her laugh was soft, almost gentle. No, Elias, this is not a date. This is the beginning of something ancient. Something rare. You mean domination. I mean bonding. The word hit like thunder. Elias blinked. Bonding? You think I'm here just for power, but my empire does not need more land. We already control 10 galaxies. What I seek is connection. With a human? With you. He stared at her. You don't even know me, don't I? She whispered. She reached into the air. A holographic display appeared, showing his files. Missions, service records, medical data, even personal letters. You've been watched, studied, she corrected. You stood alone when others ran. You argued with commanders when they ignored life signs on enemy ships. You saved enemies. That makes you dangerous. To you? To my people, she said. Because you make me question everything. Elias stepped closer now, eyes narrowed. Your guards hate me. They think I'm a threat. They do not hate you. They fear what I might do next. And what might that be? Visara stood again. She was so close he could feel her breath. I might do something no queen has ever done before. And what is that? Her voice dropped to a whisper. I might choose you. And with that, she reached out again. This time, not a simple touch. She placed her hand gently over his heart, eyes locked with his, slow and deliberate. The guards outside froze. None dared enter. No one moved, not even the wind. She didn't care what rules she broke. She only cared about the moment. And everyone knew. This was only the beginning. The days passed, but Elias never stopped watching her. Queen Visara had claimed the outpost without blood. Yet her presence felt heavier than any warship. Every soldier who remained walked with their heads low. They didn't speak unless spoken to. They didn't make eye contact. Not with her. Not with Elias. Because everyone saw what happened in the command room. They saw her touch him. And they saw how the guards, those golden armored titans, stood still, afraid to interfere. That moment changed everything. Now, Elias walked beside her through the halls like some kind of partner. But he didn't feel like one. He felt like a puzzle piece someone had forced into the wrong shape. The Shaylin had begun to rebuild the outpost. Their technology moved fast, walls shifting, machines humming like they were alive. The human structure was turning into a palace. A throne room now stood in what used to be the strategy center. Alien banners of swirling stars hung from the ceiling. A new throne had been placed, carved from obsidian, layered with gold and pulsing blue veins. Visara sat on it as if it had always belonged to her. And Elias stood at her side. Why do you keep me here? He asked quietly, his arms crossed. Because you belong here, she answered without looking. I don't. This was my command. It still is. You're just learning how to rule differently. He looked around at her guards, watching from every corner. None of them trusted him. He could feel it in their stares. You know they want me gone, he said. They want many things, she replied calmly. But I do not rule by their fear. I rule by my will. Her words were like metal, sharp and unbending. That evening, a group of alien commanders arrived. 6 powerful Shaylin males, each taller than Elias, each cloaked in robes that shimmered like oil in light. They entered the throne room and bowed only slightly. One of them stepped forward. Your Majesty, this human, he is a danger. You touch him, you walk with him. This shamus your blood. Visara didn't move. Speak carefully, Commander Vec, she said, her tone calm but cold. You stand in my court. The people are talking. Even your sisters whisper. They believe. You've been compromised. Elias stood silent, listening, watching. Vek continued. The human must be removed, quietly, for the sake of your legacy. The room fell silent, even the air felt tense. Then Visara rose from her throne. She walked down the steps, her heels clicking softly against the stone floor. She walked straight toward Vec, slow, graceful, and without fear. I should kill you. For that, she said softly. I speak for the Empire, he replied, standing firm. No, she whispered, now inches from his face. You speak for your own pride. Then she turned and did the unthinkable. She walked to Elias right in front of the commanders and took his hand, not a brief touch. She laced her fingers with his and stood tall, facing them all. Elias's heart pounded in his chest. Her guards shifted nervously. "You will not speak against him again," she declared. "Elias Stone is under my protection, my choice, my companion." The room froze. Vex's jaw tightened. "This is shameful." She leaned closer to him and smiled. "I don't care." Gasps filled the hall. Even her oldest guard looked away. But she stood unshaken. Elias felt 1,000 eyes burn into him, yet all he saw was her. The way she held him, not out of love, maybe not yet, but out of challenge. A direct message to her world. She would not follow their rules. That night, the palace was silent. In her private chamber, Visara stood near the window, looking at the stars. Elias walked in, unsure if he should speak. "They'll come for me," he said. "Your people, maybe even mine." "I know," she replied. "Then why?" She turned to him. Her eyes were softer now. "Because every queen is tested. I've passed every test they gave me, strength, blood, politics. But I never chose anything, not until I met you." He took a breath. "This isn't a game to me." "Nor to me," she said. "I'm not one of your soldiers. I'm not your prize." "You are not," she agreed. "Then what am I?" Visara stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. "You are the first being who made me feel unsure. And I like it." For once, Elias didn't have an answer, and for the first time since she arrived, neither did she. They stood there, in silence, beneath the stars. Two enemies, two rulers, two souls pulled together by something deeper than war. Or duty. Something neither of them could explain. Yet. The next day brought tension. Queen Visara's court buzzed with unrest. The news of her public gesture holding hands with a human had spread like wildfire through the Shaylin Empire. Some called it rebellion. Others called it betrayal. But she didn't flinch. Elias, however, felt the weight of every stare. As he walked through the newly transformed halls of the outpost, now more palace than station, he could feel the cold judgment in every alien's eyes. He wasn't afraid, but he was aware. Even among his own crew, those few who remained, whispers were growing. Some wondered if he'd been brainwashed. Others thought he had surrendered. No one truly understood what was happening between him and Visara. Sometimes, even Elias wasn't sure. He met her again that evening in the high chamber, where the stars above glowed through a transparent dome. The room was silent, save for the slow hum of alien energy running through the walls. Visara stood alone, hands behind her back, gazing at a floating map of her empire. "You've stirred up your people," Elias said, stepping in. "I stirred them because they needed stirring. They may try to remove you." "They can try." There was no fear in her voice, just quiet certainty. "You've made me a symbol," Elias said. "I don't want to be one." She turned. "Then be more than a symbol. Be a partner." "Partner? We're from different worlds. And yet we keep standing." "In the same room," she replied. He walked closer, stopping only a few feet from her. "I don't belong here. You do now." Elias looked away, frustrated. "Do you even care what happens if Earth responds? If they see all this and think I've betrayed them? I care," she said gently. "But I also trust that you can make them understand. You're stronger than they know. And you're risking everything on me?" "No," she whispered. "I'm risking everything on us." Suddenly, an alert echoed through the chamber. A guard rushed in, bowed low. "Your Majesty, a strike ship has entered orbit. It carries a message from the humans." Visara raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." Moments later, a hologram appeared. A human admiral, sharp and cold-eyed, filled the room. His uniform bore the Earth Alliance crest. His voice was clipped, formal, and filled with warning. "This is Admiral Krell of Earth Command. You are holding one of our officers without authority. You will release Captain Elias Stone immediately, or face full retaliation." Elias stepped forward. "Admiral, this is Stone. I'm not being held. You are not authorized to speak. Freely, Captain, Krell barked. Visara stepped into view. And you are not authorized to threaten a queen in her own court. Krell hesitated. He hadn't expected her to appear so boldly. You've made a mistake, alien. No, she said. I made a choice, and he made one too. The signal cut. Silence returned. Elias stared at her. That didn't help. It wasn't meant to, she replied. It was meant to show them I will not kneel. You just challenged the entire human fleet. Then let them come. Her calm was terrifying. That night, Elias returned to his old quarters. They hadn't changed much. His things were still where he left them. His boots, his data pads, even a photo of his crew. He sat on the edge of the bed, his mind spinning. He didn't ask for this. Didn't want to be the center of an interstellar standoff. But somehow, Visara had pulled him into her world. And even worse, a part of him didn't want to leave it. A soft knock on the door broke the silence. He opened it to find one of her guards, not just any guard. It was General Arx, the silent one who always stood nearest the Queen. You are requested in the garden chamber, Arx said. Why? The Queen wishes to speak with you, alone. Elias followed without argument. The garden was glowing with alien flowers and soft floating lights. A small table sat in the center, and Visara stood beside it, wearing a simple robe that flowed like mist. No crown, no armor. Just her, I wanted. You to see this place, she said softly. It's grown from our world's soil. I had it brought here. It's beautiful, she nodded. It reminds me of home. I don't get to see it often anymore. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she turned to him. Do you think I'm making a mistake? I don't know, he replied. But if you are, I'm making it with you. She blinked, surprised. You didn't have to say that. I know, Elias said, but I did. And for once, the powerful Queen said nothing. She simply reached out and let her hand rest against his chest. Not for power, not for control, but for comfort. And again, her guards, watching from the shadows, didn't dare move because she didn't care what they thought. She only cared that he was still standing there with her. The next sunrise came with heavy clouds, thick and gray, like they carried war inside them. Elias stood on the upper deck of the outpost, watching human ships gather in orbit. They weren't firing, not yet. But their message was clear. Pressure was rising. Earth Command was running out of patience. Behind him, Queen Visara approached quietly. She stood beside him, her golden robe fluttering in the wind. Neither of them spoke at first. They're going to attack if I don't go with them, Elias said. Yes, she replied. And if I go, they'll never let me speak the truth. They'll use me. They already are. He looked at her. So, what do we do? Visara's eyes searched the sky. I've lived long enough to see empires rise and fall. But I've never stood beside someone who made me question my own, until now. Elias didn't know how to answer that. It wasn't just flattery. Her words felt real. That morning, Visara called her full council into the throne room. The grand chamber echoed with the soft hum of alien tech. Commanders, generals, scientists, dozens of voices filled the air. And standing at the center, Elias felt every eye on him. She stood beside him, tall and unshaken. My people, she began. Some of you believe I've been weakened. Some of you think I've lost control, that I've broken tradition. No one spoke. Even her fiercest generals remained quiet. You are correct. Gasps rang out, eyes widened. Elias stiffened. I have broken tradition, she continued. I have chosen a human. Not as a servant, not as a trophy, but as an equal. As someone who challenged me and changed me. One of the elders rose. Majesty, this path leads to exile, to disgrace. Visara met his eyes without fear. Then I will walk that path, with my head high. Another elder shouted, What has he done to earn this honor? Elias stepped forward before she could answer. I didn't ask for this, he said. I didn't ask to be chosen or honored. I just tried to do what was right when she arrived. I stood my ground. I spoke my truth, that's all. And yet, she treats you like her consort, one commander hissed. Why? Vizara answered this time. Because strength without compassion is empty. Power without feeling is hollow. He showed me both. She turned to Elias, and I will not let him go. The room was quiet again. Then one guard, the silent one, named Ark, stepped forward. Everyone braced. But instead of raising his weapon, he kneeled, one by one. The other guards followed. It wasn't fear, it was respect. She had risked everything. For a human. And they saw it. Elias looked around, stunned. You did that, he whispered to her. No, she replied. We did. Later, as the two walked through the garden chamber again, Elias felt something shift inside him. I thought I was your hostage, he said. Then I thought I was your shield. Now, I don't know what I am, she smiled. You're still deciding. And you? I've already decided. She looked up at the sky where human ships hovered, still silent. If they fire, Elias said, we both lose. They won't fire, she replied. Because you're going to speak to them. What? You'll go up there, board their ship and tell them what you've seen, what you've felt. They'll think I'm compromised. Then, let them, she said. If they listen, war can be avoided. If not, we stand together. Elias stepped back. You're serious. I always am. She walked up to him, placed both hands on his chest, and leaned closer. I chose you in front of my people. Now you must choose me in front of yours. He didn't answer with words. He simply nodded. And for her, that was enough. The shuttle rose slowly from the outpost's launch bay. Elias sat alone inside, wearing his old Earth uniform. His heart beat like a drum in his chest. Below him, the alien palace shimmered in golden light. Above, the black sky was filled with Earth's warships. He had agreed to go to speak for peace. He didn't know if anyone would listen. As the shuttle neared the flagship Issa V, Valiant, a cold voice came over the comms. Captain Elias Stone, prepare for inspection. Step off with hands visible. You are not cleared for full communication until reviewed by command. He sighed. So much for trust. The shuttle docked with a loud click. The door opened. And standing there were 6 soldiers in full armor, weapons drawn. No welcome. No warmth. Come with us, one barked. They led him through the ship's narrow halls to a cold, gray room. Bright lights, no windows. Admiral Krell stood waiting, his arms folded, his face hard as steel. You're a disgrace, Krell said the moment Elias entered. Do you realize what you've done? I avoided a war, Elias replied calmly. You started one by letting her manipulate you. She didn't force me into anything. You don't get to decide that anymore. You're off duty. Stripped of rank. Elias clenched his fists. That's fine. I'm not here as a captain. I'm here as a witness. Krell narrowed his eyes. Explain yourself. Elias took a deep breath. She came with overwhelming power. She could have crushed us. But she didn't. She walked in peacefully. She claimed the station, yes, but no one died. She spoke to me, not as a ruler, but as a person. You're calling that thing a person now? She's more honorable than half the politicians I've served under. Krell's jaw tightened. She's trying to use you, Elias. She's using your name to stop us from acting. We've already lost control of a vital outpost. She gave me the chance to leave. I chose to stay. Then you're compromised. Krell said coldly, and you're no longer a voice for Earth. Elias leaned forward. Then send the message yourself. Fire the first shot. Destroy her. And when her empire answers and Earth burns, remember you had a man on the inside who offered you peace. Krell didn't speak. For a moment, just silence. Then slowly, a second figure entered the room, a woman in civilian clothing. Dr. Linara West, an interspecies advisor. Admiral, she said carefully, let me speak to him alone. Krell hesitated, then left. Linara sat across from Elias. I've studied the Shaylin for years, she said. They don't take personal gestures lightly. What the Queen did, it's unheard of. I know, Elias said. She risked her throne, maybe her life, Linara nodded. And you? Why did you stay? He didn't lie, because when she looked at me, she didn't see a soldier. She saw someone who could stand beside her, not beneath her. Linara studied him carefully. Then she stood. I'll speak to command, but Elias, if she's being honest, you may be her only hope of stopping this war. Later that night, Elias sat alone in a quiet room aboard the Valiant. Through the window, he could see Vizara's outpost far below, tiny, glowing, alive. A light blinked. A message. It was her. The screen lit up with her image. No crown, just her face. Calm, proud, soft. I trust you, she said quietly, no matter what they say. He smiled. I told them the truth, he said. They may not believe me yet, but I did it. She nodded. Then we wait. As the line closed, Elias sat in silence. He had spoken his truth. Now the galaxy would decide what to do with it. The next morning, the Earth fleet didn't fire. No attack came, but neither did a message of peace. The skies were silent, on both sides. Everyone held their breath, because now, it was no longer just about humans, or SHALEEN. It was about them. About the Queen who chose to touch a human, and the human who chose not to let go. 3 days passed. The Earth fleet remained in orbit. No attack, no retreat. A quiet threat, hanging like a sword above Vizara's kingdom. The Shaylin guards stayed alert, but calm. And through it all, Queen Vizara never left the throne room. She didn't show fear. Not even once. Elias was finally allowed to return. He stepped off the shuttle alone. No escort, no orders. Just silence. The golden halls of the outpost greeted him like old friends now transformed. And waiting at the end of the corridor, just like before, was Vizara. She didn't speak at first. She simply walked toward him, her eyes watching every inch of him like she was checking for wounds no one could see. I told them everything, Elias said. I know. They didn't fully believe me. I expected that. But they didn't fire either, which means they're waiting, watching. Vizara slowly reached for his hand again. He let her take it, and just like before, the guards froze. It was a symbol now. This simple act, the Queen touching the human, had become more powerful than any weapon. They entered the throne room together. Her council was waiting. Eyes wide, some respectful, some still full of doubt. Elias stood at her side, taller this time, stronger in his step. He had made his choice. Not because he had to, but because he believed in her. Vizara stood before her people. I've spoken to the humans through one of their own, she began. I offered them truth, not surrender. And now we stand between war and peace. One elder spoke out. They don't trust us. No, Vizara said, but they are learning. A younger commander stepped forward. We will follow your will, Majesty. But what if they attack? Vizara looked at Elias. He nodded once. They won't, she said. How do you know? Because I did not kneel to them. And I will not kneel to fear. That answer silenced the room. Outside, above the clouds, a communication signal flashed. Through the defense systems, a message from the Earth fleet. Elias rushed to the console. His hands hovered for a second before opening the channel. Admiral Krell's face appeared once again. But this time, something had changed. His voice was slower. Not gentle, but less sharp. This is Admiral Krell to Queen Vizara and Captain Stone. Earth Command has agreed to a neutral observation. No war, no sanctions. We will allow an interspecies peace discussion, led by you two. Elias felt his chest lift. Visara, however, didn't smile. She simply nodded, graceful and calm as always, then let it begin. The message ended, a soft breath passed through the chamber. It was over, for now. Peace had won. Later that night, Elias and Visara stood in the garden once more. The stars above were brighter than before, or maybe it just felt that way now. You did it, he said. No, she replied. We did. He turned to her. So what now? Now, she said softly, I rebuild, not just a kingdom, but trust. And me? She smiled at him. For the first time, it wasn't a queen's smile. It was a woman's. You stay. With you? Yes, not as a symbol, no, as a choice. Elias stepped closer. They'll keep watching us. Let them, Visara said, reaching up to touch his face. Let the whole galaxy see that I don't care. And just like the day she first touched him, even her most loyal guards stood frozen. They had seen her break rules. They had seen her challenge empires. But now, they saw her love, and none dared question it. Not anymore.